Hi there guys, it's Joel here from Aussie Chart Trends. Today's market update is for the week ending Friday the 28th of September 2012. Today's market update, we're going to be checking out the asx200 and just have a look at the week in review. Also, we're going to take a look at Friday's data, and we're going to take a look at the smp500. But before we do so, I've just got to remind everyone that aussiecharttrends.com.au and this video are for educational purposes only. Nothing stated at the site or in this video is intended to be used as any form of investment advice. I'm not a licensed professional. You need to make your own decisions regarding your investments. I'm here just to help anyone searching for a practical direction in today's markets. Okay, so looking at the asx200, on the daily chart here we can see that we had this little rising wedge pattern that we were anticipating that would break down. Now we broke down this week and we just got underneath this blue trend line here. Now this trend line goes all the way back to 2007 highs. From the top that we had up here in late October, and I've snapped this trend line over this peak here that we had in April of 2011, and we can see now we're right at this juncture. The question remains, can the asx200 hold support over this level? Because once we've gotten over this area, we've clearly come down for a back test that took the markets fairly south and into dangerous area. So the question remains, will the asx200 be able to stay over these levels? So let's now take a look on an hourly chart and take a look at the week. After breaking out of this rather large rising wedge pattern defined by this bottom blue line here and this top blue line here, we can see that the selling pressure then took over, and we did anticipate that the market would come down. Now this yellow line that I've got drawn here on the chart, if I just zoom the chart out a little bit, we can clearly see here since the 25th of July, every time the market has come down, we've tagged on this area and bounced. And this week we came down fairly hard in what appears to be a descending bullish wedge pattern. Now, this week I wasn't really prepared to call this a bullish wedge pattern. The reason being was we had a few funky little patterns within this descending wedge channel, where you could have easily called this a descending channel. I held off on calling this a descending bullish wedge. And as you can see, the way it's come down, well, we have had a move to the upside. And on Friday's data, we can see that we clearly got over this area and this red line was able to hold as support. On Thursday, we were able to get up to this area, but we weren't able to get over this line. On Friday, it was actually a technically strong thing that the markets were able to hold over this area. Now, the question is, can we rally on up to this area here and tag on our next area of resistance? And we've also got an area of resistance here going over the head of our small head and shoulders topping formation. Another interesting thing this week, after breaking out of this rising wedge pattern, well, we actually broke this yellow line clearly. And I was questioning the fact why we bounced here and we rallied on back up, because this line was clearly broken, and I was anticipating after a break of this trend line here around the 4,360 area, after that broke, I was expecting that this market would probably just give way to the downside, as I had previously drawn here. Now, if we have a look, on Thursday's trade, I actually snapped a line across here, over this peak here, and over this peak here, and we can see exactly where the markets found an area of support. So technically speaking, there's a reason why the markets actually found an area of support here, and we had that bounce. So now we can expect that this yellow line will help the asx200 to find an area of support, but that is descending support. So just keep that on your radar. And I don't think we're out of the woods yet, but clearly we're above this red line now. And I find it amazing that this area here held up as support for some time. Then after breaking down, we found it as resistance. But on Friday, we were able to get back over that area. So let's just see what the asx200 can pull out in the week ahead. For a clearer direction, let's just see what the smp500 is doing, and that should give us a clue as to what the asx200 is going to do in the next week. Looking at the smp500 here on the hourly chart, well, we can see this week we were talking about this symmetrical triangle pattern, and With symmetrical triangle patterns, they can either have a break to the upside or a break to the downside. Now, with this pattern, we clearly got the break to the downside. And how do we anticipate how far this market should go down? Well, what we do is we measure the depth of the first reactive move up in this pattern. So the depth of this pattern, and we add this onto where the market broke down. And as we can see here, the market still has not achieved its minimum expected target. And after we had this waterfall effect down, the markets here were able to find support on Wednesday, and then we had a little bounce. We were able to head on back up and then go sideways. So where the markets actually closed on Friday was right on this support level that we've got drawn on the chart. We can see there's a little rising area of support here where the market has tagged on several times. Now this looks like it could be a little head and shoulders topping formation with our left shoulder here, our head, and our right shoulder. But I'm not really willing to call this a head and shoulders top because it's not at a top. With the S&P 500, we've still got this minimum expected target to meet. So I would expect that we will probably break this ascending little trend line, come down and tag on this blue line eventually. Now this blue line is going all the way back to early June of 2012, and we can see here on an extended chart going back for a couple of months that we've crept on up in what appears to be a rising wedge pattern. Now guys, we may break this blue line, and if we do, I would say that we would probably most likely find support on this red line here. But I wouldn't be expecting this to happen until around the middle of October. We may come down early, but if this blue line breaks, we could expect that probably most likely we'll get a bounce on this area here, on this red line. The reason being is because this red line has put up a lot of support in the past, and I would say it may take a couple of touches before we break this area. Now, to my eye now, it potentially still looks like we're forming a left shoulder over here, a potential head, and then we may come up for a back test on this blue line, then come back down and break this area for a head and shoulders topping formation. Now let me remind you, if we look on an extended chart, going back to 2011, I've said this a few times on my videos, but I may come across a little bit repetitious, but for my new subscribers, I just need to inform them that we've had this large head and shoulders topping formation that occurred in 2011. Now after we broke down, what we did there is we measured the depth of this pattern and we added this on to where the market broke down. Now as you can see, the market met its minimum expected target, and the markets then proceeded to go all over the place when we had the European troubles take place. Now we've rallied on up, we were able to get back over that neckline, then we created another smaller head and shoulders topping formation. Now we came down and met the minimum expected target, we've rallied on up now, we've gotten over this neckline clearly and over these other areas of resistance, but we're at this juncture now where this could be forming a left shoulder, a head, and maybe a right shoulder again. So guys, something to keep your eye on. And if this did play out as a head and shoulders topping formation, well, really guys, there is plenty of room to come down to this area here and then bounce up to go even higher. Reason being is if I extend the chart out even more, going back to the all-time low of 2009 there, we can see that the market is coming up in what appears to be a rather large rising wedge pattern. Now we can see there's this bottom line here and this top line here, and the market has plenty of room to go on up, and the market also has plenty of room to go on down also. So in short, if this is a head and shoulders topping formation, I wouldn't expect this market to break down for a while yet. We've still got some areas to break through first, and then a potential back test on this ascending wedge line. Guys, this is only a potential thing. This doesn't mean that this is the way the markets will go, but clearly we don't really have anything bullish to say about this market, and it's just something to keep on your radar for now. So in recap, with the ASX200, we have now 4 areas of support on this chart, being one, this red line, this ascending yellow line, this horizontal line here on the chart around the 4,360 area, and we also have this new line that we drew on Thursday. So just keep that on your radar. As far as resistance levels, well, we've still got to get over the 4,110 area. So for now, the S&P 500 is looking fairly weak and it's looking fairly toppy. So I think coming into next week, we may see a little bit of weakness. But as for Monday, let's just see if we can get over this area. So guys, if you're not a subscriber to my channel and you find this information useful, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I know that this looks like a game of pickup sticks. I'm trying my best to limit those lines as much as I can. Guys, I'll be back on Monday. I hope you guys enjoyed the grand final and enjoy your weekend.